East and Iraq were telegraphed. Iran contacted the Qatari government and possibly even the Iraqi government that they were going to send, missiles, into their country against our particular bases. So they knew ahead of time. I believe our government knew ahead of time. This is not the first time this has happened. I believe when Soleimani was killed, Iran did the exact same thing. They telegraphed the response, letting us know ahead of time that's what they were going to do. Basically, what that is they're saving face. They're shooting missiles because they have to. It's all about perception and, not looking weak. So they did the same thing on yesterday, and nobody was killed, no Qataris, no American soldiers. I don't think there was any damage. I think at least all the missiles in Qatar were intercepted. So it's obviously a positive event. Again, even if you don't see the full picture, obviously, the administration was thinking ahead, and they were counting on the fact that, when we did what we did, that Iran would be more amiable for a ceasefire. And so it worked. So let's thank God for that. And so prayerfully the ceasefire will go into effect here shortly on both sides. And it's a positive, outcome. So the bombings worked. And so, we are where hopefully we should be here shortly with a ceasefire on both sides, and then potentially a peace deal. So that'd be great. I am definitely glad that it happened. That the ceasefire prayerfully will be coming. I'm very happy about that. I think all of us who voted for him are thankful that this is coming about. And basically, it's like, look, he didn't get us into the war per se. He did what he felt he had to do without civilian loss of life, and it worked. Not the first time. He's not the first president to do it. But here's the kicker: you still got folks that are complaining about it, and some Democrats are wanting to impeach him, which is absolutely stupid. That'll fail. I believe I stated this in the last video, that he let the leaders in Congress and the Senate know on both sides what was going to happen before it happened, and then the ones they couldn't get in touch with, they let them know after the fact. So I believe on the Democratic side, they did get in touch with Senator Schumer, but they weren't able to get in touch with Congressman Jeffers, maybe because he didn't want to answer the phone, who knows. But you can't say he didn't try. So, and they've got time-stamped receipts for that. So that was another lie that most of the Democrats were trying to say. The other is that he doesn't have the authority, which he does. He's a commander-in-chief under Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. And in the War Powers Act, he was obligated to let them know prior to, which he did. But these Democrats are hypocrites. You know, they're talking about, well, you didn't have the authority. Well, nobody told President Obama, he didn't have the authority when he dropped like over 26,000 bombs over Syria and Iraq. Nobody was trying to impeach him. Nobody was trying to say he didn't have congressional approval. Nobody was saying he was violating the Constitution. Nobody was saying he was violating the War Powers Act. Nobody said nothing. Even Biden dropped bombs, and nobody said nothing. Nobody said a thing. So they need to stop all the lies and nonsense that they're trying to espouse to that and the media, trying to talk about he didn't have the authority and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And Congress, no, he's a commander-in-chief. So what good is it being a commander-in-chief if you can't do the things that you need to do, short of declaring war, to protect the citizens of the United States? I'm a little confused by that. Congress, of course, has a role. And Congress, of course, has to be the one to declare war if we should so have to do that. But to go and bomb somebody because you feel, according to Article 2, Section 2, that that's a threat, and you let the leadership of Congress know prior to, what's the problem? You don't have to agree with it, but he did what he was supposed to do. He did what he did, and now we have a potential ceasefire that both sides have agreed to. I just don't understand. You know, all these people talking about the Trump derangement. I'm starting to see that it's a real thing. That people literally hate the man, and regardless of what he does, they're going to still hate him, and they're still going to try to, you know, demean him and undercut him and all this other stuff. Again, that's people in the world and in the church, especially the black church. They hate President Trump with a passion, and it's, you know, it doesn't matter what he does. And again, I'm not saying he's a beacon of truth. That's not what I'm saying at all. Everyone has their issues in their past. But the simple facts of the matter is so far, everything he said he was going to do, he's done or is in the process of doing so far. With you know, a little over 6 months in office. Love him or dislike him, or love him or hate him, so far he's done what he said he's going to do, or is in the progress of doing it. The actions speak louder than words. You don't have to like the guy, but everyone, and I do mean everyone, should be supportive of the president, because he's still the president of the United States. He's still the president of the United States. And you want him to be successful. Even if you don't like him. You want the president to be successful. Because when the president is successful, the people are successful. So you want your leader to be successful even if you didn't vote for him. Even if you don't agree with him, you still want him to be successful. You know, it's the same thing with the NAACP not inviting the president in the first time in their 100+ year history. 116 year history, something like that. They didn't want to invite president to their convention because they hate the president. Let's just be real. They hate the president. But Stephen A. Smith said it best. He's like, you don't have to like the guy, but you got to deal with the guy. He's going to be president until 2028. You have to deal with him. So why be childish, and why take the low road, which is what the NAACP is doing, and not inviting the president? If you really want to know what he thinks, invite him in front of your constituents and let the man talk. Let the man have a chance to talk to you, the NAACP, and you know, and let him make his case. What's wrong with that? The problem is people don't want to talk. They don't want to have conversations. They just want to bully, you know, and do those things because they don't care what the other side wants, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Nobody wants to have the conversation. The NAACP doesn't want to hear what President Trump has to say because they hate the man. That's just facts. They hate the man. They hate the man. For whatever reason, they hate the man. They're constantly trying to bring up his past and hold that against him and members of his cabinet. They're trying to hold their past against him, trying to find every excuse to demean them and to put them down, to say they're not qualified and all these other things. How do I know this? Because people I know have said it to my face and are trying to convince me that what they feel is correct. Well, you're not going to do that. Because again, everyone's got a past. Everyone's got things that they're not proud of. That doesn't mean that, one, they're not qualified to do the position, or that they shouldn't be given a chance to do the position. And we know, at least with President Trump, if you can't do the job, he's going to fire you and get somebody else. Like I said, whether you like him or not, everyone should want the President of the United States to be successful, because when he is successful, the country is successful. No matter who the president was. No matter if it was President Biden, President Obama, both President Bushes, President Clinton, President Reagan, President Carter. You wanted all the presidents, you should want all the presidents to be successful, because that means we're going to be successful as a country. It's just that simple. But people are so, are so one side or the other. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the president's strategy worked. Israel and Iran decided, hey, we're gonna agree to a ceasefire in this many hours, and then we'll go from there. So it's an ever evolving story. I just think that this Trump derangement, I didn't really get into it. Kind of looked at it as just a talking point from the right, but I'm finding out quick, fast, in a hurry that that's true. That people just hate the man just to hate the man. They don't care what he does. What did somebody say? It doesn't matter whether he saved all the fish species in the ocean. The Democrats are going to complain that they took away the food for the sharks. That's so true. It's so true. It's so true. And it's just sad. It's sad. And again, both sides have been guilty of it. Both sides have been guilty of it. The right was just as bad when President Obama was president. If we're going to be fair, then both sides are guilty of it, of course. Again, because we don't want to have conversations. We don't want to listen to what the other person has to say because we don't agree with it. Well, that's wrong. You might actually learn something. You don't have to agree with the other side, but you got to come to some sort of a consensus. There's got to be some sort of middle ground somewhere so that we can get the work done. Congress is just as guilty, if not worse, than the media and the people. They can't get nothing done because they can't come to a middle ground. Everybody's got to have their way. But compromise is how you get things done. Not everybody's going to get what they want. Even the president. So, that's just my little spiel on this morning. That both sides have agreed to a ceasefire, which is great. We were praying for peace, and the Lord is answering prayer, so we're thankful for that. People are still hating on them despite this. It is what it is. People are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to do what they're going to do. And they're just as deranged as the right was with President Obama in a lot of cases. And it's not all Democrats. And it wasn't all Republicans. But it's the same concept. And so they're going to be just as deranged. Again, how do I know? Because I know people that have told me, and every time they make posts, every post is just about deranged because they can't look outside themselves and their personal issues and their personal views to look at the bigger picture, to look at, what, maybe the president is the way he is because there's a plan behind it. Yeah, it's unorthodox, and yeah, you may not even like it or agree with it. But there are results. And so if actions speak louder than words, then again, you don't have to agree, but the actions speak louder than words. And so far, his actions have been speaking a whole lot louder than his words and his tweets and his posts on True Social and all this other stuff. It's just that simple. So, I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what else, I could say on it. But, if you got any comments, leave them down below. Leave them down below. Obviously, be respectful because, anything dealing with the president is a touchy subject these days. So, if you got any comments, leave them down below. What do you think about it? What do you think about the ceasefire? What do you think about the NAACP snuffing the president for the first time in their history, of their organization's history? What do you think about this so-called Trump derangement syndrome, which I'm starting to find out is actually true and legit through just the people that I know and interact with? What do you think about it? Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you enjoy the content, share the content. I'd really appreciate it. And I appreciate all my subscribers and everyone who's left comments and likes and whatnot. I appreciate every one of you. And hopefully, I talked about something that you might be interested in. So until next time, y'all, God bless you.